The rain hammered against the windows of our small London flat, mirroring the relentless storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, Beatrix and I had built a home filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the comforting rhythm of everyday routines. Quillon, worked as an IT specialist, spending my days immersed in the logical world of code, a stark contrast to Beatrix's vibrant artistic spirit as a sculptor. We were an unlikely pair, perhaps, but our differences had always seemed to complement each other, creating a harmonious whole. Or so I thought. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. A change in Beatrix's routine late nights at the studio that stretched into the early hours, claiming she was working on a new commission. I didn't think anything of it at first. After all, Beatrix had always been dedicated to her craft, pouring her heart and soul into her creations. But then came the hushed phone calls, the ones shed abruptly end when I entered the room, a nervous flutter in her eyes that I'd never seen before. The way she flinched when I touched her, a subtle withdrawal that sent a chill down my spine. I tried to dismiss my growing unease, attributing it to stress, to the pressures of modern life. Maybe I was just being paranoid, imagining things that weren't there. But the feeling persisted, a nagging voice in the back of my mind that refused to be silenced. I started paying closer attention, noticing details I'd previously overlooked. The unfamiliar scent on her clothes, a lingering cologne that wasn't mine. The way she'd clutch her phone protectively, her fingers flying across the screen as she exchanged messages with someone, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the screen. One evening, Beatrix claimed she had to attend an art exhibition, a last-minute invitation from a gallery owner. She dressed carefully, selecting a sleek black dress that accentuated her figure, her eyes sparkling with an unusual excitement. As she stood before the mirror applying her makeup, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was preparing for something more than just an art exhibition. "Have a good time," I said, my voice betraying none of the suspicion churning inside me. "I will," she replied, her smile a little too bright, her eyes avoiding mine. "Don't wait up." As soon as she left, I felt a surge of adrenaline, a desperate need to know the truth. I knew I was crossing a line, invading her privacy, but I couldn't ignore the gnawing feeling that something was terribly wrong. I went to her laptop, the one she always kept locked with a password. I tried a few obvious combinations, our anniversary, our birthdays, but none of them worked. I felt a surge of frustration, a sense of being deliberately shut out. Then, almost as an afterthought, I typed in the name of her favorite sculpture, a bronze figure she had named Echo. To my surprise, the laptop unlocked. My heart pounded in my chest as I navigated to her email account, my fingers trembling as I typed in the password I had managed to recover from her saved settings. There, in her inbox, was a series of emails that confirmed my worst fears. The emails were from a man named Sylvester, a fellow artist she had met at a sculpting workshop a few months prior. The messages were filled with intimate details, declarations of love, and explicit descriptions of their rendezvous. My world began to spin as I scrolled through the emails, each word a dagger twisting in my heart. They had been meeting in secret for weeks, engaging in a passionate affair that had shattered our marriage, our life together. The last email was particularly devastating. It was a confirmation of a weekend getaway to a secluded cottage in the Cotswolds, a romantic escape planned for the following week. "I can't wait to be alone with you," Sylvester had written. "Just you and me, lost in each other's arms." I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, a physical manifestation of the betrayal I was experiencing. 20 years. 20 years of love, loyalty, and commitment, all reduced to ashes by her infidelity. I sank into a chair, the laptop slipping from my grasp and crashing to the floor. I didn't even register the sound, my mind numb with shock and disbelief. I spent the rest of the night in a daze, replaying the emails over and over in my head, trying to make sense of what I had read. How could she do this to me? How could she betray our vows, our history, our love? I thought back to all the times I had trusted her, believed in her, supported her dreams. And all along she had been lying to me, deceiving me, leading a double life behind my back. When Beatrix finally returned home in the early hours of the morning, she found me sitting in the dark, the laptop still lying on the floor. She looked startled, her eyes widening with a mixture of surprise and apprehension. "Quillon, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I didn't say anything, just gestured towards the laptop. She followed my gaze, her face paling as she realized what I had discovered. The color drained from her cheeks and she stumbled backwards as if struck by a physical blow. "Quillon," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't," I said, my voice flat and emotionless. "Just don't. I know everything." Tears welled up in her eyes and she began to sob uncontrollably. "I am so sorry," she cried. "I didn't mean for this to happen. It just happened, it just happened," I repeated, my voice rising in anger. "You just happened to fall into bed with another man. You just happened to plan a romantic getaway with him. Is that what you're telling me?" "No, it's not like that," she pleaded. "I still love you, Quillon, I do. This was just a mistake, a moment of weakness." "A moment of weakness that lasted for weeks," I retorted. "A moment of weakness that involved lies, deception, and betrayal. Don't insult my intelligence, Beatrix. I'm not a fool." She sank to her knees, clutching my legs, her tears soaking through my trousers. "Please, Quillon," she begged. "Forgive me. I'll do anything to make it up to you. I'll end it with Sylvester. I'll go to therapy. Just please don't leave me." I looked down at her, my heart aching with a mixture of pain and anger. Part of me wanted to believe her, to forgive her, to salvage our marriage. But the other part of me, the part that had been betrayed and humiliated, knew that I could never trust her again. The damage was done, the trust irrevocably broken. "I can't, Beatrix," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "I just can't. I can't live with this. I can't live with you." I turned and walked away, leaving her sobbing on the floor. I went to the spare room, packed a bag with a few essentials, and left the flat. I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do. All I knew was that I couldn't stay there, not for another minute. I needed to escape, to find some space to breathe, to try to make sense of the shattered pieces of my life. I spent the next few weeks drifting from place to place, staying in cheap hotels and guest houses, trying to avoid any reminders of my old life. I couldn't bring myself to go to work, to face my colleagues, to pretend that everything was normal. I felt like a ghost, haunting the edges of society, invisible and alone. I consulted a solicitor, initiated divorce proceedings, and began the painful process of dividing our assets. Beatrix tried to contact me, to plead with me to reconsider, but I refused to speak to her. I couldn't bear to hear her voice, to see her face. Every interaction was a fresh reminder of her betrayal, a wound that refused to heal. As the weeks turned into months, I started to emerge from the fog of despair. I began to focus on myself, on rebuilding my life from the ground up. I started exercising, eating healthy, and spending time in nature. I reconnected with old friends, people I had neglected during my marriage, and discovered new hobbies and interests. One day, I received a letter from Beatrix. It was a long, rambling apology, filled with remorse and regret. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake, that she had thrown away something precious and irreplaceable. She claimed that she had ended her affair with Sylvester, that she was attending therapy, and that she was trying to become a better person. I read the letter with a sense of detachment, feeling neither anger nor sadness. The Beatrix I had known, the woman I had loved, was gone, replaced by a stranger who had betrayed my trust and shattered my heart. I realized that I had to let go of the past, to forgive her, not for her sake, but for my own. Holding on to the anger and resentment was only hurting me, preventing me from moving on with my life. I wrote a short reply, acknowledging her apology and wishing her well. I didn't offer forgiveness, nor did I express any desire for reconciliation. I simply closed the chapter on our relationship, accepting that it was over and that there was no going back. A few months later, I received an unexpected phone call from a mutual friend, Esme. She told me that Beatrix was struggling, that she was isolated and alone, and that she was suffering from depression. "She's really not doing well, Quillon," Esme said, her voice filled with concern. "I think she needs your help." I hesitated, unsure of what to do. Part of me wanted to ignore Esme's plea, to wash my hands of Beatrix and her problems. But another part of me, the part that still remembered the good times we had shared, felt a sense of responsibility, a need to help someone who was clearly in distress. "I don't know, Esme," I said. "I am not sure I am the right person to help her. I am not a therapist, and I am certainly not her friend anymore. I know it's difficult, Quillon, Esme replied. But she's really struggling. Just talk to her, see if you can offer some support. It might make all the difference. After much deliberation, I agreed to meet with Beatrix. We met at a neutral location, a small cafe in a park, far away from the familiar surroundings of our old life. When I saw her, I was shocked by her appearance. She looked gaunt and pale, her eyes hollow and lifeless. She had lost weight, and her clothes hung loosely on her frame. She looked like a shadow of her former self. We sat in silence for a few minutes, neither of us knowing what to say. Finally, I broke the silence. "How are you, Beatrix?" I asked, my voice gentle. "Not good," she replied, her voice barely audible. "I'm a mess, Quillon. I've ruined everything." "I know," I said, "but you can't dwell on the past. You have to focus on the future, on rebuilding your life." "I don't know how," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I've lost everything. I've lost you, I've lost my friends, I've lost my self-respect." "You haven't lost everything," I said. "You still have your talent, your creativity, your passion for art. You can use those things to rebuild your life, to find meaning and purpose again." I spent the next hour talking to Beatrix, offering her words of encouragement and support. I listened to her regrets, her fears, and her hopes for the future. I didn't offer forgiveness, but I did offer compassion, a recognition of her humanity and her capacity for change. "I don't expect you to forgive me, Quillon," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "I know I don't deserve it, but I want you to know that I am truly sorry for what I did. I'll never forgive myself for hurting you the way I did." "I know," I said, "but you can't let guilt consume you. You have to learn from your mistakes and move on. You have to become a better person, not just for yourself, but for everyone who cares about you." I continued to meet with Beatrix occasionally, offering her guidance and support as she navigated the difficult path of recovery. I helped her find a therapist, encouraged her to reconnect with her friends, and supported her efforts to reignite her artistic career. It wasn't easy, and there were times when I questioned my decision to help her. But I realized that by helping her, I was also helping myself. I was letting go of the anger and resentment that had consumed me for so long, and I was embracing a new sense of compassion and understanding. One day, Beatrix called me with some exciting news. She had been offered a solo exhibition at a prestigious gallery in London, a major breakthrough in her artistic career. She was thrilled, but also nervous, unsure if she could handle the pressure. "I don't know if I can do this, Quillon," she said, her voice filled with anxiety. "I'm afraid of failing, of disappointing everyone." "You can do it, Beatrix," I said, my voice filled with confidence. "You're a talented artist and you deserve this opportunity. Just believe in yourself and don't let fear hold you back." I attended Beatrix's exhibition, along with hundreds of other art lovers, critics, and collectors. As I watched her mingle with the crowd, her face radiant with pride and joy, I felt a sense of satisfaction, a sense of having played a small part in her success. Her sculptures were stunning, reflecting her journey of healing and self-discovery. They were raw, honest, and deeply moving, capturing the complexities of human emotion with extraordinary skill and sensitivity. After the exhibition, Beatrix approached me, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Quillon," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have done this without you. You've been my rock, my guiding light. I'll never forget what you've done for me." "You did it yourself, Beatrix," I said. "I just offered a little support along the way. You're the one who found the strength to rebuild your life, to overcome your challenges, to achieve your dreams." We hugged, a long, heartfelt embrace that symbolized the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. We were no longer husband and wife, but we had found a new way to connect, a new way to support each other as friends. I eventually moved on with my life, finding love again with a woman named Imogen, a kind and compassionate soul who embraced me for who I was, flaws and all. We built a new life together, filled with love, laughter, and mutual respect. I never forgot Beatrix, nor did I regret my decision to help her. I realized that forgiveness is not about condoning someone's actions, but about freeing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. It's about choosing to move forward with your life, to embrace the possibility of healing and growth, even in the face of profound betrayal. And as I looked back on my journey, I realized that I had emerged from the ashes of heartbreak stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before.